All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all North Carolina and South Carolina students, sponsored by the Carolinas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers, as well as StriveScan. Thank you so much for joining us today. Just a few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use your Q&A button on your screen to type questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are turned off so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of the many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at CACRAO.org. This recording, as well as all of the other sessions recordings, will be made available at that same website, CACRAO.org. I would now like to turn it over to our presenters.
All right, welcome everybody. So as you can see, the session today is about undergraduate research and the path to graduate school. So if you're considering even possibly attending graduate school after earning your bachelor's degree, this is the place to be. This is going to tell you how specifically undergraduate research is going to help prepare you for that. So we've got representatives here from 3 different universities: Radford, Elon, and University of North Carolina, Asheville. So we'll start just by introducing ourselves as the panelists.
Awesome, thank you. So my name is Catherine. I am an admissions counselor with Radford University. Radford is actually a public four-year college in Southwest Virginia, so just over the North Carolina border. We are located roughly 2.5 hours from Charlotte, about 40 miles south of Roanoke. And we are a medium-sized institution having just under 10,000 students total. So we are going to learn a lot more about what Radford has to offer, but that's just a little bit of information for you to keep in mind. But next I will let Elon introduce herself and what Elon's going to bring to the table today.
Hi everyone, my name is Ginny Oberly. I'm an Associate Director of Admissions at Elon. Elon is a medium-sized private liberal arts school in Central North Carolina. We have about 6,200 students. Only 20% are from North Carolina, so overwhelming out-of-state population, and located right in the middle of North Carolina. So in Burlington, so whether you're from Eastern or Western North Carolina, we really do fall right in the middle there. So really excited to speak with you guys today about undergraduate research, and I will hand it over to Lindsay with UNC Asheville.
Hey y'all, I am Lindsay Prather, Assistant Director of Admission at UNC Asheville. I am an alum, a graduate from the class of 2010. UNCA is the designated public liberal arts university of the UNC system. We are a small university. We have between 3,000 and 4,000 students this year, 3,600 students. And we are located in the heart of the Blue Ridge Mountains, absolutely beautiful campus where the picture from the first slide was. But let's go ahead and jump into our topic now. What is undergraduate research? So, maybe you've heard of this before, not sure exactly what it is or what it entails. The next slide, we will get into specific examples, but really generally, undergraduate research is self-directed or self-designed academic work that addresses a research question. So you as the student are going to be in charge of your own research project. You're not, assisting a faculty member with their topic. You are the one that chooses the project and gets to take lead on it. So you'll be answering some sort of research question. We'll talk about examples and how to maybe start by coming up with the question that you're trying to answer for your project. But the goal ultimately is that you will end up with a scholarly or creative project at the end that is intended for a publication or presentation. You will work with a faculty member during an academic term or even up for a full year, depending on the program that you're doing. And the idea is just to cultivate skills in yourself and to help you become a better researcher and a better creator.
Awesome. So next we are going to talk about who can do undergraduate research. So I think when most students and families and even the general public think about research, they really think about those kind of hard sciences. So, you know, being in a lab and mixing chemicals or whatever. And that's definitely, you know, true, right? So there are research is definitely conducted in the sciences, but it's not exclusive to the sciences. So no matter what discipline you are in, no matter what kind of academic program or field or category, if you will, you can definitely do undergraduate research. So up on the slide here, you'll see some different examples. All of these are real research projects that students at Radford University have conducted. So you'll see examples from dance, from music, political science, business, education. So not only are there projects within every type of different, you know, academic discipline that you can kind of think of. Obviously, I couldn't put literally every major up on here, and a project that was affiliated with that, but it kind of gives you some different examples. But also, if you are interested in more than just one academic field, right? So we know that you are well-rounded students. And so while you might be a dance major, you may also have interest in political science or anthropology or even the health sciences, right? So how would, you know, maybe the health of dancers or something along those lines. You can create or design a research project that fits within multiple different academic disciplines. It does not have to kind of solely belong in whatever your major is or your minor or whatever. You could even do something outside of your major or minor. So I just kind of wanted to kind of bust that myth, if you will. And then what students can conduct undergraduate research. So I think that's another myth that we often find, is that most people feel like undergraduate research is really reserved for juniors and seniors. And that's absolutely not true. So you can get involved in undergraduate research from, you know, day one freshman year. So I know that maybe you don't believe that, or you're maybe unsure of how that might happen. And we are going to talk about that a little bit later on. But undergraduate research is for any student, regardless of their year and regardless of their academic major. So hopefully you've had an opportunity to kind of browse through the different examples, but we're going to talk more about projects and how to get involved on a later slide.
All right, so we've spoken to you a little bit about how we define undergraduate research and what that looks like in the context of a university. So now we want to speak a little bit about that in the context of engaged and experiential learning. We know you guys are perhaps familiar with that term. Every college is always talking about engaged and experiential learning. So you may have heard terms like internships and capstone projects and undergraduate research. And we know there's sometimes some confusion about the benefits and the value of each of those and what they look like and what opportunities they provide for students. So internships are going to be work experience with a company or organization. Sometimes that's paid, sometimes it's unpaid, but it does give you a really valuable opportunity to connect with an organization or corporation, develop your professional skills in that way. A capstone project is typically one that is required of a major or a program. You have to complete this research project. Typically it's a research project in some capacity, but it's typically student-led. The depth that you might explore a certain topic, maybe a little less than what you would do for a true undergraduate research project. So it is required. It gets you towards a really specific topic and gives you some opportunity to explore in depth a perspective. But undergraduate research is really an incredible opportunity for students to dive deeply into a topic, explore it at a professional level, develop strong communication skills from that, because you are presenting this to a variety of different groups. And so it really goes beyond even it certainly goes beyond a capstone project, because typically this is going to last more than maybe a semester or two, which is typical of a capstone project. This may be 2 years of your life that you're dedicating towards a specific topic. So you're going to come out of that with, as we said earlier, a really wonderful creative project that you can carry with you beyond just that first job, beyond just your college graduation. It's going to be something that you'll reflect on for a really long time. So we hope that you will explore all of these different opportunities, but we do find that undergraduate research is sometimes overlooked. It can seem intimidating, but there is such great value that comes from undergraduate research. So we want to talk to you now a little bit about how to get started in undergraduate research.
So I guess I'll jump in with the start. So I think heading into college, you know, as a freshman student, you're on an unfamiliar campus, surrounded by students and professors and staff who you've never met before. And even if undergraduate research is something that you already know that you would like to pursue, you're a little bit overwhelmed or unsure about how to go about participating in undergraduate research, right? It can be intimidating to go up to a professor and just say, hey, I want to do undergraduate research, right? You may not feel comfortable with that because you don't know them, they don't know you, that type of thing. So at Radford, we have a variety of different opportunities for students to help students get into undergraduate research. So the first one is Research Rookie. So this is a fairly new program. It's been at Radford for about 2 years. And so it was founded by our president. He was the one that kind of initially came up with the idea. And the goal is that students, before they ever even get to Radford, after they've been admitted, but they're still kind of deciding, you know, where they're going to go to college, they can apply for this Research Rookies program with kind of a very general, broad idea of something that they're interested in. It does not need to be something super honed in or specific. And again, it applies to students of any major, even undecided students. And then we will pair you with a faculty mentor. So someone who will help you get started and figure out, like, how do I even conduct research? What does that look like? What are the policies and procedures and things that I have to do in order to actually do research? Because there are some of those. And so from day one, you already know that you're going to be conducting research. You already know your general topic, and you already have a faculty member who is kind of within a field related to your topic, who's going to help you get started, you know, maybe define that question. And it's a 2-year program. So if you really like it that first year, you can apply again and do it for a second year. And so you can continue that project from your first year if you really like that project, or you could go in with a totally new project. It's totally up to you as far as where your interests lie. It is a student-led research project, so it's totally, you know, your choice as far as what your question is or your topic is. And lastly is that this opportunity is actually paid. So you get a stipend in order to conduct this research. So it's not only a resume builder, but also an opportunity on campus to get to know some faculty literally from day one. But lastly is that you get to make a little bit of money. And we all know college kids need some extra money, right? So next is our honors college. So Radford does offer an honors college, which is an academic experience, it's a social experience, and it is a residential experience. So it's kind of a three-prong or three-pillar, I guess, community, if you will. So you will live together in a residence hall with other students who are in the honors college, and there are honors college specific classes that you will take. But I'm not going to focus too much on those because the third pillar is research. So there is a capstone research project required for the honors college. So kind of back with what Jenny was saying earlier, as far as some programs within college might require a capstone, and honors college at Radford is one of those. So you will pick a general research topic, typically junior year. And the honors college does have a class that is completely designed to help you navigate the process of figuring out what your project and what your topic is going to be. They don't just expect it to come to you one day as like an epiphany, right? So they have a class that you will take that's geared towards that, and then they pair you with a faculty member who teaches in the Honors College, and you will do this project or conduct this research. And at the end, you will typically present it, and then that will also complete a requirement for you to get an honors degree. Next is our Office of Undergraduate Research. So an entire office totally designed towards pairing undergraduate students with different research opportunities. So you can just literally stop by or make an appointment and say, hey, I'm kind of interested in undergraduate research, but I don't really have a topic in mind of something that I would like to research or like to learn about. And they have a whole list of research opportunities that might be looking for either people to conduct that research, or maybe it's a project that's already ongoing that needs some assistance that you could then join, right? And lastly is our SURF grant. So this is another paid opportunity for students to conduct research. Typically, this is a grant that students will apply for, and it pays them to stay on campus over the summer and continue or start a research project over the summer. It can be any summer. It can be, summer after freshman year, sophomore year, what have you. But it's an opportunity to continue that work in the summer instead of maybe having to stop, at the end of spring semester, or maybe you're just really busy in the fall and the spring semester and you don't have a ton of time to dedicate to research, although it's something that you'd really like to do. Since there's no classes typically over the summer, you'd have a lot more time to dedicate to your research project. So those are some ways that you'll get involved with undergraduate research at Radford, but Elon is going to talk about some opportunities on their campus for getting involved.
Yeah, so assuming that you are attending this session because you might have a general interest in undergraduate research, but we know, as Catherine was saying, that sometimes you come in and you know that this is an experience you would like to participate in, but might not know the specific subject or topic that you would like to explore. And that is really important to be okay with that. You should not necessarily come in with your question because it's going to change. It's got to be really narrow and really specific in order to develop a really robust undergraduate research project. So what we recommend is, if you know that you're interested in undergraduate research, start paying attention to the questions that you're asking. What do you enjoy studying? What do you enjoy learning more about? And when you're learning about that, what kinds of questions are you asking? Have those questions already been asked by others? Have they been explored in depth? Are there articles that you can read about a certain topic? And is there another direction or another question you can ask on top of that? Because that's how you really develop a strong research question, is thinking about what you enjoy learning about, asking questions about it, and seeing if anybody else has already asked that question. If you're getting to that stage where you're realizing that you do maybe have a really interesting question that you'd like to explore further, have a conversation with a faculty member. We're certainly a campus, and my colleagues work at campuses as well, where you have that opportunity to connect closely with faculty members. And so talk with them about their research, their experience researching, whether or not they have a particular avenue for you to explore your topic that you're interested in, or they might know someone else who does. But it is really important, we think at least, to connect with a faculty mentor who has some expertise in the area that you're interested in. That makes the project that much more valuable because they can provide a really strong mentorship model for you and provide an important perspective. So talk with faculty members. They are so excited to connect with students for undergraduate research. It helps them progress their projects and is in many ways the reason that they're interested in teaching on a college campus. And then, just as Catherine was saying, if you know that you want to do research, you came to this session because you're really pumped about the thought of doing undergraduate research, look at some of those programs at different campuses that offer either grants automatically associated with research, or there's a requirement as part of that. You can certainly pursue undergraduate research on a lot of campuses, regardless of whether you're in one of those programs. But there's a lot of funding for those programs, and also just a general opportunity to kind of get a jump start on that, maybe people to guide you as soon as you get to campus towards undergraduate research. So those are some of our recommendations about how to get started, and I will hand it over to Lindsay with UNC Asheville.
Thank you so much. This all makes me want to go back to school and do research again. So at UNC Asheville, I would also second the fact that advisors and faculty members are going to be your number one resource here. So, our campus undergraduate research is very common on our campus. Over 70% of our students complete an undergraduate research project. So our advisors and our faculty are very comfortable and very used to having those conversations with students. So I would start with your advisor. If you're not a declared major yet, you will have a general advisor in the advising center. If you are a declared major, you'll have an advisor in your major program of choice. And that person is going to have all sorts of resources. They're going to be able to point you in the right direction in terms of, maybe there's a specific faculty member on campus that has done research similar to the field that you're interested in. You're definitely going to want to connect with that faculty member. They might be the person who ends up being the research advisor for your project. So taking advantage of those resources, taking advantage of the networking that the faculty and advisors and staff have already done for you, and can connect you with other people on campus to help. So, and the other, especially important at UNC Asheville, you do have to have that advisor for your research project in order to access any grant opportunities. So if your research is something that you're going to need, money for, financing for, or to sustain yourself while you're doing work on that project, we've got those grant opportunities, but you do need that advisor in order to access that money. So again, just like similar to what Elon said, asking yourself those questions in the beginning. Do you have one particular major that you really just want to dig into something specific in that program? Or are you interested in multiple things and you want to do more of a cross-curricular project? Do you want to pull in music and art together? Do you want to pull in like those examples we looked at, history and dance? How cool is that? So, this is really a good opportunity, especially if this is a fantastic opportunity if you're at a school that you absolutely love, but maybe they don't quite have the specific program that you're interested in. You can choose the major that you want to study, but then use your undergraduate research as an excuse to dig into those more specifics that you want to learn more about. And then lastly, I would highly encourage you, if you are a student at UNCA, go to symposium day. So once a semester, we have a symposium day on campus. All day classes are canceled, and that's when everyone around campus is presenting their undergraduate research project. Members of the public are able to come on campus and view the projects as well. It's my favorite day on campus every year. So that's a great opportunity to kind of walk around and check out projects that other students are doing. Maybe that'll spark kind of some interest or an idea for you on what it is that you would like to study. I know that a lot of times you don't even know where to start in terms of what questions to ask. So looking to see what other people have done in the past can really be a good way to kind of kickstart your own project. So start with your advisor. They'll help connect you, check out symposium day, look at what other people are doing, and then just kind of think about what it is that you're interested in. All right, so lastly, we're going to talk about specifically how does undergraduate research lead to graduate school, right? I know that I want to go to grad school, or I might be considering going to grad school after earning my bachelor's degree. So what is that direct connection between doing the undergraduate research project and then getting into grad school after undergraduate? So we'll start with Radford here.
Yeah, so there's a variety of ways in which undergraduate research is going to help you out or be in your favor whether you're considering graduate school, on that application process, the committee that's looking at your application, and then even once you're actually in graduate school. So first is that you're going to be familiar with what research actually is and how it's conducted. And that may seem, like not that big of a deal, but typically, and I'm not going to say always, because there are plenty of graduate programs where research is maybe not a requirement, but there's a lot of graduate programs where research is a requirement, or at least it's an option, right? So you have to do like a thesis is typically what it's called, where you spend typically several years conducting a big research project, and then you kind of type up your results of that in a large paper, and you have to present it, and you have to talk about how you conducted that research, why you conducted that research, the results that you found, the ways in which you conducted that research, all of these different kind of things related to that project. You have to present it in order to graduate. And so having already conducted research from undergrad, you're going to be a step ahead heading into graduate school. So you're not going to be, asking your professors, how do I get started? Or how do I formulate a research topic? Or what is a thesis, right? Because, sometimes as part of undergraduate research, you're probably not writing a thesis because a thesis is pretty large, but you might still be typing up a summary of your research results, right? And presenting that. So those are things you'll already be familiar with. And you could also, continue an undergraduate research topic into graduate school. So if you really like that topic, there should be no reason, well, I don't want to say no reason, but there's a lot of ways in which you could continue that topic into graduate school. Next is going to be a proven ability to analyze complex problems that may not have an answer. So graduate school, the structure of your classes are going to be a lot different from undergraduate school. And I think that when you're in undergraduate school and even after, it's hard to really wrap your mind around how graduate school is different from undergrad. And I can say that because I'm currently a part-time master's student, and I had no clue what to expect in graduate school until I got into it. And so graduate school is going to be a lot less of your professor standing up there and kind of lecturing and you sitting back and taking notes. The professor is going to kind of go up there and maybe, state a problem or something like that. And they're going to ask you guys your thoughts. So they're going to say, here is this issue, here's this topic, like, let's discuss. It's going to be a lot more discussion oriented. They're going to be requiring you guys to look at something and analyze all the pieces and the parts. And that question or that topic may not have an actual answer, and that's okay. They really just want you to get familiar with the ability to kind of break it apart and understand it. And that's a lot of what research is, right? Is you're taking something and you're breaking it down and in researching it in order to better understand it. And you may come up with a solution, but you may not, right? Research doesn't always lead to a conclusive answer, but that's okay because, the more we know, the better off we are in the future to potentially come to an answer. So you're going to already be familiar with that. Next is that you definitely have an interest in academically challenging coursework and experiences. Graduate school is challenging, right? Not that undergraduate school is not, but graduate school is an entirely different level of challenging. And so if you have an interest and you've taken the initiative to pursue things that challenge you in undergrad, then a graduate school committee is going to look at that and say, okay, they're used to being challenged, right? They're used to, having to study. They're used to having to put in long hours to their coursework, their schoolwork, etc. And they must enjoy that because that's what graduate school is. So you already have experience and you're going to be set up for success because you already kind of know how to navigate that. And you're accustomed to that. And lastly is time management. So, and working independently. So research takes time, right? So you've got your classes as far as the time that you will be in class. You've got the schoolwork or the homework that's going to be required for those classes. You've got a personal life. You potentially have a part-time job. And then research is going to be conducted outside of all of those things, right? And so you've got to be able to manage your time well in order to ensure that you are succeeding in all of those things and completing your research. And most research is conducted independently. And so while you will have a faculty member who's working with you and advising you and answering your questions, they are usually not going to be going out with you to collect research, to do interviews, to take samples, etc. You're going to be doing a lot of this on your own, but you're going to have to submit kind of progress reports, right? You're going to have to be telling your faculty advisor and other committees on campus, or if you have funding for this research, you're going to have to be submitting progress reports to the people that are funding your research as far as what have you done so far, what do you know so far, what have you done with the research that you have collected. And what's your timeline for future completion, or what answers do you already have, and how has that potentially changed your research project? So they want to know that you are making progress on this research, and you're going to have to meet some deadlines kind of on your own, right? So you've already done that in the past, and so if you succeeded in the past, there's no reason to think for a graduate school to think that you wouldn't be successful doing that at the graduate level. So those are just a few different ways in which undergraduate research can lead you into graduate school, or even just prepare you for success while you're in graduate school. But I'm going to turn it over to Elon, who's going to talk a little bit more about this, how undergraduate research leads to graduate school.
Yeah, so just to build upon what Catherine was saying about skill development and the opportunity to become familiar with the research process, I think one of the best things to come from undergraduate research is developing a strong sense of confidence. We've talked earlier about how you will complete undergraduate research with a product. You will have a paper, you have the potential for different opportunities in the execution of that project in very different ways, but you'll come out of it with a depth of understanding of a topic that might be an expertise for you, which is really exciting to be able to have that conversation with people with that much confidence, because you spent so much time studying a project. You really know it forwards and backwards, you know every angle of a topic. And it's a confidence unlike something I think you gather in a typical classroom setting. It's something you can really only get from spending that much time really diving into a particular topic. So then when you take that experience of really knowing something and knowing it well and translating that into a graduate program, there's an opportunity for you to go in with a confidence that you can do this. You can do not only graduate school, but you can combine with other people and discuss really high level academic topics. Graduate school in some ways is wonderful because it's a combination of so many people from different backgrounds. Sometimes it's people immediately out of college, sometimes it's people coming from the professional workforce. And so your ability to navigate those conversations with them and be able to have those high level conversations, and a lot of that comes from your experience with undergraduate research, really sets you apart and gives you that foundation for undergraduate research. So that's just one little tidbit that I think is sometimes overlooked. I think confidence is such an important thing to gain during your undergraduate career and can lead to a strong, successful graduate program. So I'll send it over to UNC Asheville.
Awesome. Yeah. So definitely some great comments there. Agree with all of those, especially on building confidence. Yeah, I've just recently graduated from grad school, and yeah, having had that foundation and having had that research experience just made me so much more comfortable, because I knew I would have to do research in grad school. And so having already done that to some level at UNC Asheville, graduating from there, made me so much more comfortable and feeling like I could really complete that. So, definitely those skills are incredibly important. This isn't the case for everyone, but very often you go to, you're going to your undergraduate program and you're going to be getting more of those foundational skills in your general field. And then you might choose to go to grad school to sort of hone in a little bit more on something more specific. So this is just, more of building those foundational skills, those communication skills, those presentation skills, which are so incredibly important. And then something I think we don't talk about a lot, but networking skills. I think, we all know how important it is to be able to reach out to somebody. Have you ever asked somebody to be your mentor before? Have you ever asked somebody, how did you get to where you are? What degree did you earn to get the job that you have now? So building that confidence in terms of talking with people and networking and making connections, undergraduate research really gives you that opportunity as well. As I said, your advisors and faculty have these connections and have these relationships with local nonprofits, with local businesses, with local schools. And those are all places that you might need in order to complete a research project. So building those skills in asking people for help and building relationships is really, really valuable. So in addition to that, you're demonstrating just by the simple fact of completing an undergraduate research project, you're demonstrating to the grad schools that you're applying to that you can persevere, that you are willing to take on a challenge, right? A lot of undergraduate research, most undergraduate research is not required. It's optional, right? The required piece is typically your senior capstone project. So the willingness to take on that research project says a lot about who you are as a person and what kind of student you might be in grad school. And then lastly, kind of a more specific, tangible skill that you might get out of this or benefit you might get out of undergraduate research is the potential to actually get published. We have, UNC Asheville has a journal of undergraduate research that you could potentially be published in by completing your project. There are, all sorts of journals all around the country and the world that you would have the opportunity to have access to, depending on how high you decide to go with your research project. So just imagine applying to a grad school and being able to tell them that you've been published in an academic journal would just, I think, be an incredible confidence booster. So definitely a benefit there. A lot of ways, a lot of reasons that undergraduate research can help you kickstart into that grad school. All right, so that's the breadth of the information that we have for y'all. We're going to keep our contact information here on the screen just for a couple minutes in case anybody needs to write it down or take a screenshot or anything like that. Doesn't look like we've had any questions come through the Q&A yet. But Catherine or Jenny, do y'all, we could use this time to talk about maybe an example of an undergraduate research project that you thought was really cool that was done at your school. In the meantime, people can feel free to put questions in the Q&A.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because we've talked a lot about undergraduate research, but we haven't really dived deep into actual examples. I mean, I know I had that slide, but we can, maybe it was hard to read or whatever, but one that I thought was really awesome was a student actually researched and studied a woman named Josephine Baker, who was a dancer, a civil rights activist, a member of the French Resistance, as well as an author. And so not only did she study her and research her and her life, but she also choreographed an entire original dance piece based upon the knowledge that she learned about Josephine Baker. So to really represent all of the different things that she did during her life. And I thought that that was so awesome. And it's also a really great example of not only a research project that is outside of the STEM field, but also a research project that can really cross academic disciplines. So, while this student was definitely a dancer, right, because she choreographed an entire dance piece, maybe you just have an interest in dance or you don't really necessarily want to choreograph a dance yourself. That definitely crosses into, political science with the French Resistance and civil rights activism piece, as well as like anthropology, like learning about, or even sociology, you could learn about her culture, her upbringing, her background, and how that might have affected her life or the choices that she made or the reason why she joined the French Resistance, right? And so you could take that same general topic of Josephine Baker and studying her life and her participation, not only in dance, but these other political activities. And if you didn't want to choreograph a dance like the student did, you could do so many other things as your kind of project, if you will, with that topic. So so that's just one example. There are so many others, but I want to give Elon and UNC Asheville an opportunity to talk about a student project on their campus.
Yeah, I'll share a little bit actually about my own undergraduate research project. I had the opportunity to do undergraduate research during my time at Elon. I did not come in knowing that that's something that I was interested in. I thought, internships and study abroad are the things that get a lot of attention when you're looking at engaged and experiential learning. But I had a few faculty members whose courses I just really enjoyed. And so I spoke with them after class about how they got involved in these particular topics. For a brief background, I was a psychology major and I minored in public health and women and gender studies. So my research project and kind of the question that I hopped onto was a question around why Black and African American identifying women are disproportionately affected by HIV/AIDS. So it's some of that public health angle with the psychology angle. It was fascinating research. It was a really wonderful opportunity. My mentor had been doing that research for a while. And so I learned from her, learned about her topic, learned her expertise in that area, and then peeled it off for my own question. And I looked specifically at prevention strategies and negotiation between partners that would help prevent STI protection. And STI is a new word for STDs, so sexually transmitted infections. And so we looked at how people were talking to their partners about that. And it was really fascinating research. The result of it was a in-depth look at how people weren't having those conversations. And so we were able to talk through, okay, well, what's the next step of this research? So another student who was 2 years younger than I was took on that project and that angle and took that in her own direction about how to engage populations in some of that STI protection work. But I was really fortunate to be able to present my research at a conference, which is going back to my point about confidence. Never thought I would have had that opportunity, and to do that at the undergraduate level was really great. We submitted for publishing before I graduated, and we're also fortunate, I think a couple months after graduation, got that approval on that. So it's a really neat opportunity. I can't emphasize it enough. It does not get as much attention as all those other kind of flashier experiences in college, but it's so rewarding. So Lindsay, I'm not sure if you have anything to add for UNC Asheville or a neat project that a student's done.
Yeah, so first of all, that's so awesome that you had like another student building on your research and taking it like the next step further. I think that's so cool. Yeah, so another reason why you might want to talk with other students or go to symposium day, figure out what other people are doing to see if maybe it's something that you could build on or connect with. That's awesome. Yeah, one in particular that always jumps out at me, UNC Asheville, sustainability is really important to us. We are a designated tree campus and bee campus. So we had a student a couple of years ago who was in the biology department who studied biodiversity on college campuses specifically. So she was looking at, native versus non-native species and how invasive species have an impact on college campuses, things like that. So we use her research every year. Our maintenance department uses her research in terms of deciding, which plants and which trees to use on campus, which plants, support other plants near them, which ones go well together, things like that. So we're actually using the research from one of our previous students to beautify and make our campus better, which is super cool. Another really neat opportunity at UNC Asheville, where a lot of students present their undergraduate research. We have a conference every year, African Americans in Western North Carolina and Southern Appalachia. It's a very long name, but it's a super cool conference. It's led by the chair of our history department, who grew up as a Black man in Asheville and was always told later on in life, but there's no Black people in Asheville. So he dedicated a lot of his academic work to studying African-American history and culture in the mountains. And so I've attended that a couple of years in a row and just gotten to see some really, really neat projects from students studying that topic. So another really cool opportunity to present and to learn about, some locally focused topics. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that kind of concludes our session. So I don't know if we want to hop on the housekeeping duties from StriveScan.
All right, thank you all so much for joining us today. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We would really appreciate any feedback you can provide today. This is just one of the many different sessions being offered, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions at CACRAO.org. This recording will be made available within about a week at that same website, CACRAO.org. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.